Good to have you with us. Ed Schultz News and Commentary on this Thursday edition. Quite an eventful 24 hours in the news cycle. The Washington Post reporting last night that, using, of course, unnamed sources again, that Attorney General Jeff Sessions met on two separate occasions with the Russian ambassador, and that there was discussions about the campaign. This, of course, flies in the face of his testimony in front of the Senate Committee for confirmation for the Attorney General's position in a Q&A with Al Franken. Today, late this afternoon, the Attorney General came out to clear the air, saying that he did answer the question. And so, Brent, at this particular point, and even the Russian Foreign Ministry has responded to this. Some call it a political witch hunt. Some call it political theater. Some call it a criminal act, an act of crime. Nancy Pelosi says that the Attorney General, the top cop in the country, has lied to the American people under testimony in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and he should resign immediately as AG of the United States. Chuck Schumer also in line. 12 other Democrats have followed them. We do know this, that Sessions came out today and went on the record and said that he absolutely did not talk about the campaign on September 8th when he met with the Russian ambassador. Now, keep in mind, if you've ever been to Washington, D.C. and been over to the Senate buildings, the Russell Building or the Hart Building or whatever, you see a lot of ambassadors coming in and out. That's why they're in the country. They meet with elected officials all the time. Sessions is on the Senate Foreign Relations or Senate Armed Services Committee. So this isn't abnormal for him to meet with an ambassador. But the report says that they talked about the campaign, and that simply, according to Sessions, is not the case. According to the Democrats, they think he lied under oath. So that's where we are. You be the judge as the American consumer. But answer one thing. The president, of course, today was down in Newport News, Virginia, paying homage to this beautiful $13 billion aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald Ford, which is going to be the most unbelievable war machine on the face of the earth. He's down there, and he was caught by reporters, and he said he had full confidence in his Attorney General, should not recuse himself. Well, this afternoon at the press conference, the Attorney General did recuse himself from any investigation involving alleged Russian involvement with the president or the campaign. So everybody ought to be satisfied except Pelosi and Schumer that they didn't get another scalp like they did with General Flynn. I think that Sessions was telling the truth today. And if he wasn't telling the truth today, he not only handed the gun to the Democrats, he gave them the ammunition, because he said that there were two other people in that meeting. If you know anything about how Senate offices are run, senators don't meet with people alone. There's always an aide, there's always an assistant, so something is put on the record. So, well, the senator said this in a meeting. Oh, no, he didn't. Oh, yes, he did. So there's verification of what is said in meetings. So Sessions came out today in his press conference and said, well, there were two other people in this meeting. We didn't talk about the campaign. We did talk about some other issues. And, of course, that doesn't totally, word for word, match up with his testimony in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee in his confirmation hearing. So is it a political witch hunt? Is there some there? He recused himself if the investigation goes on. In the meantime, Adam Schiff, who is a congressman from California, who sits on the House Intelligence Committee, is trying to wordsmith his way to some trouble for the Trump administration, but he just can't find all the right sentences. In the meantime, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee says there's nothing there. Speaker Paul Ryan came out today and said, we got nothing. We've been investigating it. We're not going to give away our intelligence clues, but so far we haven't been shown anything of evidence that says that there was Russian meddling in the election. So that's where we are. And how much did Putin pay me to say that? That's my business and not yours. I love these Facebook people. You know where we are in America right now? If you're a liberal, you don't want to hear anything but what you really want to hear. If you're a liberal in America right now, we're back where we were in the Bush years. that there's only one thing that liberals want to hear, and that is we got another scalp. They don't care. They don't want the truth. They don't want objective commentary. They want objective news. They want to go somewhere where they're going to hear the news that they want to hear, and that's it. And so be it. I'm not in the business of that right now. As Lindsey Graham said today, if Jeff Sessions had something to hide, it's unusual that he would invite the guy or have a meeting as wide open as it is in his Senate office, okay? So I think the Trump administration is going to weather this storm. I think the Democrats missed an opportunity earlier this week. I wish they had pounded on the president on health care. There were some real opportunities there, but they're too worried about investigations and resignations, so that's where we are right now.
All right, now, Ed, you talked about, you just said it, investigations and resignations. Is this all that they have? I mean, look, we're lefties. I mean, I'm not going to lie. But, is this what the Democratic platform is right now, is just trying to basically make the Trump administration look hectic, look like they're not organized, look like they're not doing things the way they need to be done?
I want to take you back to 2009 when Obama came into office. It was the winter and spring of 2009. The economy was in trouble. Obama had unbelievable approval ratings. People were behind this president. This was hope and change. And the Republicans kind of went in a hole for about 6 months. There wasn't much to talk about. They were just going to let this thing play out. That, of course, is when they were planning how they were going to obstruct everything. But the only person that really came out and attacked Obama was Dick Cheney. He is just out of the White House, the vice presidency, and he is now 3-4 months later telling the American people that Obama does not have us on a war footing. He'd come out about every 2 or 3 weeks and make those comments on Fox and right-wing radio. Obama doesn't understand the war on terror. He doesn't have us on a war footing. But from a legislative standpoint and from a planning standpoint and a strategic standpoint, the Republicans are quiet. The Democrats now fast forward to 2017 where they're actually in that same position of being in the minority. They're after investigations. They're after FBI. They're after every rat in the corner trying to unseat this president. Instead of focusing on Washington, they should be focusing on the American people. And, okay, what do we do with these trade agreements? What do we do with health care? What do we do? Can we run the budget with what Trump wants to do? He's handed us red meat on another $54 billion in defense spending. Where's that money going to come from? They should be hammering on these. Instead, they're jumping in front of every parade they possibly can, saying Trump needs to be impeached. This guy's corrupt. That guy's corrupt. I mean, sooner or later, that's going to wear thin because I don't know if people in the country really are connecting with the Democrats as leaders right now. Instead of fighting Trump on his agenda. That's how I feel about it. I just think that they're void of a narrative right now. That's where I'm at.
Absolutely. And then Ed, to kind of shift gears a little bit. Today you just mentioned it a little bit ago. President Trump was in Newport News. He was with the huge Gerald Ford, and he kind of went back to a little bombast. He kind of went back to the greatest military. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that.
The speech the president gave today wasn't far beyond the level of an 8th grader. Maybe he was winging it, but whoever wrote it must have come from Newport News Elementary School. I'm not kidding you. And did you notice that the military guys behind President Trump today, there was no thunderous applause. There was no rabble-rousing, this is our guy, he's our commander-in-chief. It was almost kind of subdued. And I was surprised at that. When Bush went there, when Obama went there, when most presidents go in front of military personnel, they just get super unbelievable support. And I just didn't sense that watching it today. That was just my impression from watching it. The president, he got back to his, we're going to be greatest military, we're going to use it, we're going to have these planes, we're going to have these ships, we're going to rebuild. I mean, it was a lot of basic generic talk about where he wants to take the military. Then he started talking about the Battle of Midway in World War II and naming the ships, the Hornet and whatnot. Okay, all right, I got it. But there was no policy. There was no game plan laid out. It was just all locker room talk, and I thought it left me kind of hollow.
Yeah, just a kind of a cheerleading speech, but no substance.
With no cheers, it was kind of funny that way. And I think the president was, they did not have a White House briefing today.
No.
And they didn't have one yesterday after the speech, I don't believe, did they? Yeah. And so the president, kind of riding high on his speech from the other night, shows up in Newport News, Virginia to talk about the USS Gerald Ford. It's the latest state-of-the-art, unbelievable technology of a war machine aircraft carrier. I know there's nothing like it in the world. And it was a pretty big moment, but of course the Jeff Sessions controversy was kind of grabbed the headline from the president, and maybe he wasn't feeling any there today. I don't know.
And then last thing, that's kind of been on our radar today. Going back, I guess I should have asked this before, but with when you were talking about Dick Cheney getting involved shortly after the election, now President Obama, he's starting to work on redistricting. So, this is the biggest issue that faces Democrats because we can't win the legislature.
That really confuses me. How is the former president of the United States going to engage to work on redistricting when all of the redistricting is done by state legislative bodies, which is controlled by Republicans? You got to go win those seats first.
Right.
Okay.
That's what they're doing.
So he's got to go maybe to Wisconsin, where Obama never went before, to fight for those workers when they needed him because Axelrod said it was a state issue. I got kind of a bone on the Obama people for the way they didn't stick up for labor the way they should have. But the point being here is that now Obama's going to get politically engaged, and apparently, according to the New York Times, unnamed sources again, that he's going to get really involved and go do this to work on redistricting. That is going to take. You're not going to the way the House is set up right now and the gerrymandering that's taken place. We're a decade away from correcting that. I mean, that's where we are. We're a decade away from correcting something like that, as I see it. We'll see.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's all I got for you.
That's all you got on a Thursday?
On a Thursday.
I got this for you.
All right.
Did you know that Blue Apron is the -- fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country? I think you should use it.
I'm going.
You've been getting kind of skinny lately. Their mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everybody. Now, have you ever ordered your food at home? Those who spend a lot of money at restaurants or high-end grocery chain stores, you can now spend under $10 a person for a delicious meal. Now, Blue Apron is blueapron.com/Schultz. You'll go to their website and see what's going on. They have excellent upcoming meals, including salmon piccata, orzo, and broccoli. They got spicy shrimp, coconut curry, and cabbage and rice. And here's the deal. For less than $10 per person per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. Customize your recipes each week based on your preferences. Blue Apron has several delivery options so you can choose what fits your needs. And there's no weekly commitment. So you only get deliveries when you want them, which is pretty cool. Each meal comes with a step-by-step, easy-to-follow recipe card and a pre-portioned ingredients and can be prepared in 40 minutes or less. So if you're a professional on the go, you don't want to spend a lot of time on your food preparation, believe me, Blue Apron can make it easy for you. Blue Apron's Fresh Guarantee promises that every ingredient in your delivery arrives ready to cook, or they'll make it right. Check this week's menu out and get your first 3 meals free and with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Schultz. You'll love just how good it feels, tastes, looks, everything to create an incredible home-cooked meal with Blue Apron. So don't wait. Go to blueapron.com/Schultz. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.